Hell House LLC 2, the Abaddon Hotel. So, I was a pretty big fan of the first film, and when I heard there was a sequel very recently, I had heard nothing about a sequel until super, super recently. And then they were like, here's a trailer, and oh, we're going to drop it on Shudder exclusively. Yes, this is a Shudder exclusive. I finally have a reason to have Shudder. Shudder's wonderful, by the way, but I just own everything off of Shudder. So it doesn't really do much for me. Although they have stuff here and there, exclusives and whatnot. But so I threw this on at midnight, right as it aired, and I was looking forward to it because, as I said, I was a fairly big fan of the first one. I had my gripes with it, but overall, I thought it was a pretty effective found footage style film. And so, if you guys are big fans of the first one and you're hoping that this will kind of follow in those footsteps, it does sort of. I mean, it borrows a lot of the same things. I think this is tough because I'm not sure how this would play if it was watched back to back with the original, because it does borrow a lot of scares and chills and stuff from the first one, which gives the films a good flow and continuity to each other, but I feel like it doesn't come up with much original here. Another big downside of the movie is that the first like 20 minutes or so is almost a parody of itself, because this kind of plays off of that meta spin like Grave Encounters 2 and Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2, where the first film happened in reality. And I don't know if in this one the film had been released to the public like it had to us, and it was just called Hell House LLC, which is still one of the silliest titles ever. But it is like that footage, that those events, everything has been released to the public, at least in some medium. And so they're in interviews on television networks and whatnot talking about it. And the one survivor from the first film is in this, talking about his things that had been going on and whatnot. And that is all very goofy. Like, I don't know, I think it's trying to be goofy, but they're a little too successful to where it becomes almost, as I said, a parody. It feels very cheap, it feels very cheesy, and it was really kind of taking me out of it. And then once we start getting into the Hell House, we have some footage from other people who have went in there themselves and they were never seen from again, of course. Some of that footage is actually genuinely creepy. A lot of the stuff that takes place in the Abaddon Hotel is pretty creepy, and I think the creep factor remains. But as I had kind of said, I don't know how this would fare being watched back to back with the original. It's been a while since I saw the original, but I remember a lot of these scares. They were effective on this watch because it had been a while, but I think if I watched them back to back, I remember these being used. So I'd be like, oh, here's this thing again, here's this. But it really was very cohesive with the other film. Like, it was definitely the same place, the same hotel, a lot of the same props. The place looked exactly the same from the first film. My memory of it, anyways, that basement with like the clowns and all that on the floor and all that, those were all still there. They all looked exactly the same. So I liked that. I liked that you could probably watch these back to back and get a good flow. You know how I am about my continuity. And then, I don't know, it was getting really creepy for a little while. It does have a Grave Encounters kind of feel to it. But yeah, these guys go back in to investigate, of course, a crew, and they go over, we film no matter what. Like, we're those people, we're going to film no matter what the hell happens. They've always got to explain why. And as I said, I was kind of really in it. It was up and downs, but mostly I was like, yeah, this is creepy. I like this. This is going this and that. And then I kind of guessed something really early on that ended up being true, which isn't a bad thing. But the way the ending played out there's a little bit of a reveal at the end, and I just thought that really didn't work as much as it should have. It might work for some people, but I found that to be pretty silly, honestly. The big like reveal of the movie, and then the very very end, another little reveal happens, and I thought that was fine. I thought it was kind of cool. But I would say overall, I was a little underwhelmed because I think that they aped a little too much from their predecessor here. They didn't come up with a ton of inventive scares, chills, but they still managed to be creepy and eerie at times. And I had moments where I was like, ugh, like, you know, I get those tense moments when I'm watching and things are coming up. It doesn't rely on a lot of jump scares per se because there's not like loud beats of music, which is nice. But of course, people are going to jump when they see things. It's a different way. And found footage works for me a lot because of that POV style where it feels like you're in it, right? It feels like you're watching through the eyes of the people in that situation. So it puts you there, like boots on the ground. And I don't know, something about that has always been effective for me as long as it's done well. And I don't know. I think that if you check this out, try to push through that first 20 minutes because I think it's going to lose a lot of people and they might just be in this mentality of, this is stupid. I'm not in this. And they'll just kind of get on their phones and then they'll ignore the rest of the movie. And then they'll just be like, that movie was terrible and nothing was good about it. And it's like, no, there's some good stuff in here. Is it a perfect sequel? Is it the one, did it do better than the first film? Because I had my little gripes with it, and I was hoping maybe this one they'll perfect it. You know, they did the first one, they had their minor issues, and then like they took this one and they rounded the edges and they cleaned it up, and now this is like a better version. And no, I think I still prefer the first one, but I can't deny that I had a few moments where the shit was creepy and that there was some cool little things they did. I was like, oh, that was kind of cool. That was kind of neat. So it's not a complete wash. Overall, I would say I liked it. I didn't love it, but if you do have Shudder and you're looking forward to it, absolutely check it out. It's not like a movie that I'm just like, fucking forget it. Altogether, absolutely not. I think you're a big fan of the first one. Then you should check this out. Just hamper your expectations, lower them just a little bit, and stay patient through that first goofy 20 minutes or so. As far as the characters go, I could take or leave pretty much all of them. So that was another issue I had. If I don't care about these characters, then I'm not really feeling their plight. I'm just like, all right, let's get to the next creep factor. Let's get to the next this and that. There wasn't enough character building. There wasn't enough connection. There wasn't enough humor. There wasn't enough moments where I was sold on characters and be like, I really like that guy. I really like this chick. I hope they survive this. I hope that those really that wasn't established at all. They were just trying to get to the story. They were trying to get to the creep out moments. And that might work for some people because a lot of people don't like character development in their horror, so that stuff might actually work. But as I said, that first 20 minutes, we'll see. Anyway, guys, let me know when you watch this. I gotta get to bed. It is way too goddamn late. Good night.